So that's how I actually kind of started the personal brand.
Oh,
was I had a course, I was shooting it on my iPhone and a whiteboard in like one of the library rooms and stuff like that. Attempt that I have to figure out any modern skill set because I have capital to work with, you know? And then very quickly when I realized that I didn't know what I didn't know at that stage. And so I shut down that entire business, and because one connection away, virtual or in person.
Millions and millions, 8 figures, 9 figures, but at the same exact time, it's like, is it a real hard, like,
Welcome to episode 61 of New Money Talks.
Yeah.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
On the money.
We got Robert Miller, been in a lot of different spaces, crypto, ecom agency. So this is going to be an interesting conversation. I'm sure we'll get into a lot of different territories, what you've done, what you're currently working on, what's the vision for the future. My first question is, what's out of all the businesses that you've run, what's been the one that's been the most fun, the one that you've been most passionate about, and the one that you see the best kind of vision for in the future?
Yeah, so I think the one that's the most fun is the one where you get the most transformation with people, right? So opened up a community of just like coaching and helping people with their personal development, mindset. I mean, I read a ton of books, man, and so I love actually being able to like
Ty Lopez over here, man.
He has the same
knowledge.
Yeah, seriously. So I think that one's probably the most fulfilling. And coaching's always going to be around just because everyone wants to level up and everyone wants to do better. And I got started through a lot of coaching programs as I came up, so it's kind of like passing the torch forward. I think the one that has the most like passion for me and the one that has the most future is crypto. So hence the crypto software we have, and then the fund that we're launching, like that one's going to be a big vehicle. It'll be around for a while. So those are probably my favorite.
We were chatting before you started in crypto in 2015, right?
Yeah.
Early.
That's stupid early.
Very, yeah.
I in hindsight, it's not that early, but it's earlier than most of the droves of people that went into it.
Yeah, it was by chance too, man.
Yeah.
I mean, I was telling you that like we got basically a tip from like a friend of a friend. And then after he had accumulated about 15,000 Bitcoins, he dropped off the face of the earth. Like no one heard from him. He was gone up until like maybe 2 weeks ago. I'm going to have him on. He hit us up and was like, hey, I'm back. So that's going to be an interesting story, but that's how I found out about it. I was in a blue collar area. I was freaking growing up near nurses, construction, and like cops. Like they didn't know what Facebook ads were, let alone crypto. So I got lucky by kind of hearing the wind.
So somebody was just like, hey, there's this thing called Bitcoin. You should buy some. That was pretty much the conversation.
Dude, he was like, yo, sign up for this account. I'm going to mine through your computer. It was like this. It was like that. It wasn't like just buy it as like an investment. He was trying to leverage our stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but hey, that's what made us buy Bitcoin and buy other cryptos as well. And we did well during that first run in 2016.
So how much were you buying Bitcoin at in like 2015, 2016?
Dude, Bitcoin was at, when I first saw it, it was probably around like 700, 800 bucks. I was a college student, man. I didn't have any money. So I was like looking at it like a different perspective. So I bought a little bit of that. I bought Ethereum probably around like 35 bucks, 40 bucks. And then I was into the alternatives a lot. I understood crypto way better than I understood stocks. For some reason, I was just like native to it or whatever. And so I was buying all these altcoins. Ripple was under a freaking penny. There's Ant shares, which converted to Neo. And then all these other ones. And some of the ones I even invested in, they're no longer around. So it's like, dude, you got so lucky by picking the right ones and getting out alive. So it's cool.
No, yeah, cryptos have definitely evolved over the years. And like, I'm curious what, like even back then, what platform were you trading this stuff on?
Dude, it's not even around. Cryptopia. It got hacked in like 2016, 2017, and people stole a bunch of money from it. So that was one. I was trading a lot with like Bittrex and Binance. Those were kind of like the top ones at the time. Binance is still around, but Bittrex has kind of fallen off a little bit.
Isn't Binance tough if you're in the US too?
Well, back then, crypto, you didn't have any taxes. You didn't have any registrations you had to make and all that kind of stuff. So when I first made my money in crypto, I was like, dude, do I even transfer this to a bank? Like, this is going to look super sketchy. College student that has like a couple $100, maybe a couple $1,000 in his account to then just this big lump sum. So I didn't do that. I stayed it all in crypto and then kind of maneuvered around that. So,
so you're like in that whole, and you were in high school doing this, right?
I was just getting out of high school and then I was going into college. And then very quickly after that run, people were coming to me as like the Bitcoin guy. So that's how I actually kind of started the personal brand. Was I had a course, I was shooting it on my iPhone and a whiteboard in like one of the library rooms and stuff like that, going over crypto. Then I ended up speaking at that college and like probably 6 other ones up and down the West Coast.
Oh, really?
And so, yeah, I became this crypto guy, and then I built a personal brand around it. So I wrote ebooks, I had courses, I had all this stuff, and I didn't know what I was doing at the time.
Yeah.
So then I bought Ty Lopez's course, social media marketing. Yeah, SMMA back in like 2017, dude.
So like the knowledge and the Lamborghini.
Knowledge, yeah.
That's crazy. So what? If you're making so much money in crypto and doing well in crypto, why even go to the SMMA stuff?
Well, it doesn't cash flow, right? Like
that's fair.
Mining, I wasn't that sophisticated at the time. I just picked some crypto coins, got lucky, and made some money. But I actually had a lot of fear when I first made that group of money because I had made more than my mom would make in like 7 to 10 years, more than my grandpa would make. And I was like, what do I do now? Like, did I just get lucky? What was it? So I had like this weird, not crisis, but just this contraction in fear. And Ty Lopez is like, knowledge. And I was like, I need knowledge. And so I bought his course and then did agency stuff. But that, because I had money too, it allowed me to like just get started on investing into like the brand, videos, like just taking action on that. And that led me to be able to work with Grant Cardone probably about a year later. So those investments into courses, coaching pay off. That's why I'm like really passionate about it, because one investment led me down a whole path of connections and a journey that I wasn't even able to do.
How much have you spent on like courses and stuff like that?
So when I originally made that grip, I spent like 50 grand on courses. So I spent it on marketing courses. I spent it on trading courses, e-commerce, private label, wholesale, Amazon FBA.
Balls deep into this knowledge.
Dude, I didn't know what I didn't know. I didn't know what was going to work for me. So I was like, dude, this is going to be the only attempt that I have to figure out any modern skill set because I have capital to work with, you know? And then very quickly when I was taking some trading courses, I was like, oh, I got freaking lucky, dude. Like this was just picking the right coin, understanding a little bit of the charts and pulling out at the right time. So that's when I was like, all right, I need something that cash flows, something that I can control. So I went into service businesses, which was social media marketing mostly.
I'm curious when e-commerce came into the picture.
So e-commerce came into the picture after I was doing social media marketing and I was pitching my local market, but there were restaurants, nurses, cops, and all that. So I was like hard selling them into a Facebook ad contract for like $500 a month.
Yeah.
Like that concept doesn't even make sense to me because they just weren't exposed to digital as much as I was. So then I was like, dude, I don't want to deal with any business owner, any client. I want to go into e-com. So I started doing Amazon dropshipping. Then I was doing ClickFunnels stuff and I was doing free plus shipping offers. And then I started my own dropshipping store. And that's when I was actually starting to go deep into e-com. And again, led to me working at some of the agencies. And I've worked with probably now like 80 e-com brands, whether it's an operational deal, whether it's just ads and marketing, or actually helping them get financing products like credit and stuff to help them cash flow and be a better operator. So
you're working with Grant Cardone as well too?
Yeah. So after I had made that grip, invested in a bunch of courses, built the personal brand, I then had a portfolio because I was doing it for some buddies and stuff as well. And then they had an opening. Frank Kern actually posted, and I love Frank Kern. He's one of the goats of like direct response advertising. So shout out Frank. But he posted on his story or something. I sent him a DM, sent him a portfolio of what I was working on, what I did, and he's like, "You're in." So had some interviews, and then long story short, was doing that while I was full time in college at the time too. So it was pretty crazy.
Curious, how is it like working there at Grant Cardone's place?
So you know what's crazy? The coolest experience about working in that environment was the culture was so strong. I felt like it was coming through the computer and like changing my environment in the way that I was thinking. It was actually really cool because Grant, you would see him because I was working remote in the background. He'd be walking around the office or whatever, and you would feel like the friggin' intensity just from that.
Oh shit, that's Grant.
So yeah, so I mean, working remote was a blessing. It was really cool. It was crazy. I was managing millions of dollars in budget just from my laptop, but still feeling connected because I knew so many people there. I was coaching people. I was part of the first 7 people of the agency that grew to like 85 people within 3 months.
So what did you guys focus on with the agency?
Well, that agency at the time was mostly bringing on anything and everything. But because we had so many media buyers and so many like high level people, it divided up into different divisions. But it was just growing rapidly. I mean, as soon as they turned on the client acquisition system or something, we can help you with ads,
emails, whatever.
Everyone, loves Grant that's in the space. So many people were coming in. It was crazy.
Damn.
Yeah. So that being said, Grant's whole thing has always kind of been his personal brand. Like he's done obviously a lot for himself, and through that he's documented it, built a cool personal brand. That's something that you've been working on for a while. Is there like an end game with that? Is there a goal with it? Is there advice you can give to someone who's looking to build a personal brand?
Yeah, I first started on whiteboards, dude. Whiteboards and an iPhone, and I actually had a GorillaPod tied to a lamp to first hold my phone because I didn't have a tripod. I didn't even know what equipment to get. I mean, we were talking about it earlier.
That's funny.
Like, I just bought the stuff now. I don't even know how to use this stuff. You know what I mean? So it's just taking that action is the first step. But once I saw that it was possible, because when I was in my local market, they were all blue collar, you know, not closed-minded, but just not expansion focused. They've never done it through digital. They're all restaurant owners, right? So I really had to see that it was possible. So it was the law of exposure, right? Proximity is power. When you're in the environment, hence why I'm living in Miami, is because you're just always around entrepreneurs. This wouldn't have happened if I wasn't here. You know, that kind of stuff just occurs when you're in the proximity of the things that are actually moving and people that are moving markets or moving industries. So for me, you know, just to get started is get around the right people, actually believe that it's possible, try to find that person, that individual that's doing what you're doing, and just listen to what they say. You obviously don't have the right answers. You don't have what you want. So just listen to someone else, see how they operate, and read between the lines.
100%.
Yeah.
Damn. So like you've done a lot. Before this, you're like, I run fucking 4 companies right now, right? and you have another one launching in a sense.
Yeah.
I'm curious, like, why don't you just have one company rather than 4? Like, I feel like people like say focus is like one of the most important things, but on the flip side, you just have 4 different things in a sense.
Yeah.
I'm curious, like, how you think through that in a sense. Like, why don't you just have one?
It's really interesting because some companies are just subsidiaries of the revenue stream that you're already generating anyways, right? So a company can have multiple products in different inventory.
For sure.
So we do have that in the portfolio. But when I was running an agency, dude, I worked with so many people. I've generated over $150 million online for other people. And when you do that, you get exposure to other industries and you get to see what business models you like or don't like and what you actually have leverage to deploy. So when I was running the agency, you're at the bottom of the barrel. So when we flipped it, we either do acquisitions of brands or we launch our own products and leverage the agency ourselves. So I think it's Ryan Reynolds. He bought an advertising agency to run all of his companies. Product idea, new partnership, run it through the agency. So the game changes because at the end of the day, if you're dependent on other people's cash flows for your business to run, then you're just at the bottom of the barrel with the business model. You're not creating a moat around yourself and your income is volatile by doing that. So the reason why we have so many different products is because if you look at investing into a stock portfolio, you don't just put it all in Apple as an example, all in a tech sector. Tech may go up and down, up and down, up and down. The reason why diversification is important is because you want real estate exposure, you want this. Ray Dalio talks about it all the time, because you can have the same cash flow, but if it's diversified across 4 or 5 streams, then you're good. Or 100%. It could be 17 streams or 100 streams, however big you want to play the game. And so that's part of the different sectors, part of the talent and the leverage that I have with the agency.
You don't think that you spread yourself too thin by doing that though?
Well, that's why you have operators. So it's not like I'm running the day-to-day of every single company. That would be a shit show. Yeah. And if someone is trying to do that, that's just not the right way to approach it. You have to make the one thing be able to have a big enough frame for everything else to operate beneath. So hence why the modern way coaching program and podcast and all that's the umbrella under the different streams that I have. Because at the end of the day, you're just solving problems for people. So the more problems that you can solve either by partnering with people or instilling that into your operators and your operations teams to go fulfill on, then you can have the time leverage, the capital leverage, and the leverage of moving stuff into action. And that's why Grant has so many businesses. That's why Grant has so many products that he launches. And that's what I learned probably the most, is seeing how fast that he moved, as well as, dude, you can have the leverage if you develop out the main SOPs and the main processes that are applicable to each offer. And then it becomes a playground.
Interesting.
Would you say that most of them like play into each other in a, like they build off of each other, or they're connected in some way, shape, or form, or are some of them just totally separate from each other? So
one of the companies, for example, has 2 subsidiaries. I didn't even include that in the portfolio of companies, but those are congruent to that. So the answer of that question is yes. There are some that are just incubated in one entity that needed additional diversification of the liabilities and da-da-da-da. The other ones are symbiotic. So like agency and our ecom services. two different things, but very similar. There's overlap in the industry. Then when it comes to the crypto stuff, that is completely separate. But when I go to raise capital or when I'm trying to promote the D2C product, I use the agency. So they all funnel into each other, because if you can have...
What's up, New Money Talks fam? As most of you may know, how you handle your supply chain and your inventory management as an e-commerce brand or a 3PL can make or break your business. Inventory management can be extremely tedious and daunting, and that's why there's tons of different solutions to help simplify this process. However, none of them come close to what Info Plus has to offer. Info Plus is an all-in-one warehouse management tool that helps you streamline your warehouse operations and automate processes to save time, reduce errors, and elevate your inventory management. Info Plus can help you increase order accuracy to over 99% and help boost on-time shipping rates to over 99% with centralized workflows, real-time inventory tracking, order prioritization, and automated shipping processes. And their awesome customer support team is there to help you configure everything in a way that is specifically tailored for your business's unique operational needs. Info Plus also has hundreds of shopping cart integrations, exclusive carrier connections, and effortlessly syncs data with other platforms using their open API. Info Plus is trusted by some of the world's leading e-commerce brands such as Walmart, Amazon, and eBay. So click the link below and check out Info Plus today to level up your warehouse management operations. Now let's get back to the podcast.
Your expense items on your income statement convert into your assets. Then you can continue to invest into the businesses that you want, the projects that you want, and it's all incubated. Instead of revenue leaving you, it's just all in the same flow.
That's interesting. So it's like an ecosystem.
Exactly.
Yeah. I feel like most people that run multiple businesses successfully, they've found a way to create an ecosystem around it instead of having just totally separate businesses, because it's harder for them to work together.
Well, you have to, because especially if you're building the personal brand, my story is really crazy. Like, I glitched through a lot of different things and jumped through.
Everyone's using the word glitch now. Shout out Luke Belmar.
Yeah, shout out Belmar. No, but it's a good description, because like, if you look at the statistics of how I grew up, that shouldn't have happened the way that it did, and the speed of which of the companies I've worked with or the things that have happened, like, it's a glitch, like, for sure. So seeing that occur then allows you, again, to have like the ability to go then speak to different avatars. And that's what Grant does really well. And that's what all these personal brands do really well, speaking to different audiences with different avatars, because, dude, nobody knows who I am.
Yeah.
Nobody even knows, or I don't want to say nobody, but not a lot of people even know who Belmar is or Grant is, right? They're speaking to one avatar.
In the grand scheme of the world. Yeah.
Exactly. They're speaking to one avatar.
Yeah.
So if you can go speak to other avatars, then it doesn't matter. It's your own mental block that you can't expand and have multiple companies that stops them. But at the same time, you have to build the leverage to be able to do that, or else you're just going to look silly to your audience.
You were talking about like SOPs and like kind of systems in a sense. So like, manage all these comments. What are like some like just necessary SOPs and systems that you have to put in place to kind of make these things work?
Yeah, dude. So like, what people mostly come to me for now at the agency, and even with the Modern Way Ops thing, is like operations, operational finance, operational systems, data dashboards. Like, I'll show you guys after the show. I got some crazy ass dashboards like that. I can actually see things, but it's also the thinking that I've had to build those that people don't necessarily have, because they just know the social media marketing fulfillment down really well, or they're really good at the podcast, or they're really good at whatever. And so that side is actually the engine that allows people to go from 7 to 8 figures, is operations and SOPs. So the first thing I would say is like, you got to have a system, like a CRM or some sort of dashboard system that you're using for each part of your business. So you got your sales and marketing, you have your actual fulfillment, so project management, your finances, and then your operational expansion planning. What numbers and KPIs do you need to hit for all of this to start making you more profit? When you look at it through that holistic kind of view, it gives you the confidence when you hit the targets, because you know what you're going towards, instead of just like hoping and praying that the new business comes in, or that you should hire or not hire. Like, you can know what numbers you have to hit for the hire to make sense. So that's kind of the first thing, is changing the lens of what you're looking at your business and not having the ego block you from the actual expansion. So it's always, CRM systems. It's for me, it's always then KPIs. What are we going to hold those people accountable to? And what's the financial target? If you don't have those three things, what isn't tracked, isn't measured, what isn't talked through, typically then builds up this resentment if it's a friction point between you and a business partner, or you and an operator, whatever it is. And lastly is the standard. Like if we want to hit 7 figures, then anything that got us to 6 figures, we don't do anymore. We do this, you know? So it's a lot of personal development and coaching that you got to do with your team. So that's why I like the coaching side, because just hand them a book and then their paradigm shifts and then you harness another energy.
Hand them a fucking book. They got the Tai Lopez knowledge after that. That's awesome.
Yeah. I feel like a lot of the guys we've been talking to this week have had success in waves or in seasons. Yeah. So they've had a point where they made a lot of money, and then they had a very big, expensive lesson that kind of kicked them on the ass that they had to bounce back from. Yep. And then the second wave was always much bigger, much stronger, much more sustainable. Have you ever had any like waves or seasons or moments in business that just like kicked you in the ass?
I don't know if you know Mo Hayek. We were doing a podcast, and I think right before yours, spent $1.2 million last year on bullshit. Just like blew through it. I'm curious.
It's Miami. It's not hard to do that, you know. But
yeah, it's Miami. So like, I'm curious if you had any stuff like that.
Well, I'm pretty frugal with that kind of stuff, so I can't see myself blowing 1.2 million on just whatever.
Just like bottles, cars, flights. This type of stuff.
Dude. I mean, I can see flights and travel, but like I love nice cars, but I'm like it doesn't get me off like that. And I think that also comes down from like a confidence in yourself too. And I think when a lot of people make money, especially young, like they are playing GTA in their own mind, you know, like, hey, I can go do this now. I couldn't do it before, so let me go do it. And it's just a long-term outlook versus a short-term outlook. But the biggest business lesson that I had, I mean, one of my agencies at the time, we had like 5 or 6 partners on that agency. And it was because I was working to do a merger and then do a different portfolio company. That stuff didn't work out because I got stuck building the damn agency. And so while in theory, all that stuff was great, we went and built the agency. We probably built it to 1.2 million in revenue within like 8 or 9 months. So that's like what? It's like almost $100,000 to $200,000 a month, somewhere in there. And I realized, dude, like I had to shut that thing down. The partners weren't aligned. The services weren't consistent, not from a fulfillment standpoint, but how people were selling and framing. And then also I realized that I didn't know what I didn't know at that stage. And so I shut down that entire business. I invested into other coaches and courses. And then now we've built what's going on to be an 8-figure company within probably 9 months of that adjustment. But with shutting down that agency, dude, I went 86 grand in debt because I was carrying, whether it was chargebacks or loans or whatever it was, on that 86. It was a blend of credit card debt, loans, and chargebacks. I had to carry that. We paid all that off probably within 6 months of adjusting, but you learn your lesson. That's when I learned about, hey, it's not always going to be there unless you build the actual systems for it. You have to have the right partners because you have to have a business that you actually can put energy in and get a multiplied energy out instead of people taking energy from you. If you're taking energy from people, then it's not going to have a long-term effect. And so, yeah, I had to bounce back from that, and that was pretty crazy.
Well, what was the experience of having 6 partners in a business? I feel like it was people, shit, dude. It's the worst.
It was terrible.
But how did you guys end up with 6 people though? I'm very curious.
Yeah, what I was trying to do, man, was I had an agency. My other partner this other guy had an agency. I had 2 partners over here, and he had 3. So when we combined and merged, that's what created 6.
Oh, I see.
And there wasn't so much of a culture check. It was just money driven because we were young. Yeah. And then
also it's like, yo, I have 20 clients. You have 20 clients. Boom.
Now we have 40, dude. And
we're bigger now. Yeah.
But we're the same because the managing like partners
we're all just 6 idiots,
just multiplied.
Yeah.
Basically. I remember I was like slaving away, building all the CRMs, building all the systems. And then when I did, then I didn't have buy-in across the other partners. I was like, dude, I just built this awesome system, automations like to the T, and just the vision wasn't aligned, you know? And so learn that lesson, and also the liability exposure too. Like a lot of times when you partner up with a friend or a buddy, like you're just doing it because there's a wave of a momentum or a wave of money coming in. But dude, I had a business partner who in the agency space held my accounts for ransom, like my business manager accounts. And I was like, what the hell, dude? Like, and so like people can turn on you pretty quickly as soon as there's a contraction. And so, I just had to learn who to partner with, how to read people better. I was ignorant to that kind of stuff because I was kind of sheltered in my environment. And then I got thrown into, the waters in Miami or another.
In Miami, with the sharks.
With the sharks, dude. So yeah, man, it was just a learning experience. And at the end of the day, I take full responsibility for it. It was my fault. I was the one with the personal brand. I was the one with the leverage to do it, but I didn't understand that I had that leverage.
Yeah. I think another thing, we were talking to Colin as well.
Yeah, he's a good dude.
He blamed himself for a lot of stuff. Kind of like you were like, it's all my fault in a sense. And I feel like that's like the biggest thing that people don't do in like the real world, like the civilians of the world. They always blame someone else in a sense. Like blaming,
it's like, oh, it's the president.
Like for example, So like, like his thing was like, well, like he was like on a plane or some shit, and like he couldn't go first class. We had to be like in coach, some bullshit. But he's like, it's my fault that I'm not flying fucking private right now.
Champagne problems.
Pretty much. But like it's obviously a glorified like thought process, but you're kind of in the same boat. It's like, well, we did 7 figures, but it's still my fault this whole thing fucked up because I didn't think through all like the variables of having 6 partners, not aligned, just fucking kids from Miami like saying fuck it. You know what I mean?
At the same time too, I mean, it's the responsibility and the accountability. It's probably the hardest to swallow that pill when a lot of those things weren't my decisions. I can't control people, and people are the hardest thing to manage because they're always changing, right? They're growing, they're developing. And so I really had to develop, my buddy actually put me on some books, evidently. But
you love the books. It's good though. Books are fucking good.
Yeah, dude. I mean,
how much have you spent on all this? I'm curious. Probably like 5,000-10,000.
So if you guys can't see it, it's about 115 books. I've probably read about like 80% of them. Some of them I'm still working through. I've probably spent like 8 to 15 grand somewhere in there on some of the books. It was funny when I was moving here from Austin to Miami, the movers that were doing it, they were just like throwing the books like in. They were like disrespectful on the books. Everything else I had or whatever was like, whatever, you can break that, I don't care. But I was like, don't break the books. Like this is like my whole story, my whole journey, right? So that's probably the only thing that I'm like kind of attached to out of all this stuff. But anyways, the accountability is hard to take on unless you deploy something called Sonder. It's the emotional empathy that you are seeing someone develop and grow, and they're having their own craziness in their life. They're having everything that's changing or going on with them that they're working through, their traumas, their past, their future, what they want to see, their identity, and understanding that that's what they're going through. That gives you the perspective of you're doing the same thing, and they may have a clouded judgment or just may not even be aware of what they're doing because of all the change that's going on. So I think a lot of what happened at the agency, I was able to see it, and I had to just pull out of that whole deal because there was so much chaotic energy that even though it was bringing some sort of revenue, wasn't long-term, wasn't fulfilling, was way more stressful. And we worked with over like 200 clients at that time. So you're also responsible for downstream for them and their families, their businesses and everything. And so that's why I like the agency I have now. It's super boutique. We keep it lean, but deploying Sonder really helped me understand other people's emotions, because I'm pretty robotic and analytical. So it's like I had to learn what the hell other people were going through, you know?
Sure. Kyle's like fucking half asleep.
No. I just had a question at the top of mind. So if a lot of people watching, they haven't had that success in business and crypto and whatever, even in like their health, personal life. If you were going back to the you that had $10,000 left in your bank account, a $20,000 business credit card line, 0% APR for the year, what is the thing that you would do to pursue financial freedom?
Oh man, that's a good question, because that's like an actual, you can actually do something with that. It's not like, what if you had, no,
it's not like, what if you're like DoorDashing $500 a month? Like, no, you got 10 grand in the bank, 20K credit line, 0% APR for an entire year. Like, what's the move?
Dude, if you're an entrepreneur and you're actually wanting to play in the digital space, the best thing that I would do is invest into a good laptop, go do social media marketing services, I'm not going to say buy a camera. You can do it with your iPhone or whatever. Buy a lav mic. Start creating content on what you're doing for TikToks, for YouTube, and for that. Because in your warm network through Facebook friends or through all that stuff, you can pull people easily by just doing that. And that's what I did when I first started. I was joining Facebook groups. I was pushing content. And that's how I got my first cash flow of about 20 grand a month. Now that I have cash flow, then I can actually, go deploy that on other things that may take a little bit longer.
Investment vehicles.
Yeah. So that's the first thing that I would do. And if you don't know how to do that, invest in a coach or mentor to do it. Especially if it's 0 APR, you're betting on yourself. Like, it's your production that you're betting on. So either invest in a coach and buy all that stuff and have someone show you, or just figure it out on your own, but don't make any excuses to just commit.
Who do you think are some good people for that type of stuff? Like good coaches in a sense?
Yeah. So there's coaches for different seasons and for different reasons. So if it's just to make 10K a month or 20K a month, there are plenty of free pieces of content out there, even from like my buddy Joel and Sergio, who post that stuff on YouTube for free to show you how to make 10K a month, 20K a month. That's already out there. The other things that you can invest into coaching for are your health, your fitness, investing into like all the 10x health stuff or the biohacking stuff.
Yeah.
Colin and I are super into that.
Yeah. And it's all complementary to each other.
It's all complementary, right? And so the last thing that I would have people invest in that pool of money is networking events. Go into rooms, go to events, get inspired, connect, meet people. Because the digital stuff, people like to think that's the...
What's up, New Money Talks fam? If you operate any type of business dealing with sending and receiving payments internationally, chances are you've probably experienced slow transaction speeds, high fees, and poor user experience with a multitude of different payment solutions. And we experienced these same challenges before we started using Payoneer. Payoneer is a secure and global payment platform that helps save up to 70% on international bank transfers and get paid faster, whether you're sending money to virtual assistants, employees, or doing B2B transactions. With Payoneer, you can not only send and receive payments globally, but also effortlessly manage payments and transactions with the help of their 24/7 support team by your side. Payoneer has facilitated secure international payments since 2005 and supports over 190 countries with over 70 plus accepted currencies. So you can definitely trust them as your payment platform. So go ahead and click the link below this video and try Payoneer for your next international payment to see how it goes for yourself. Now let's get back to the podcast.
Only way out, and that if they're not going viral, if they're not getting a clip that makes them money or whatever, then it's not working. No. You got to do both at the same time. In-person collaborations, meeting, growing your network, and the digital, because one connection away, virtual or in person, can change your life. So I would play that script.
100%. You've done a lot of biohacking and stuff like that. Are you big in that whole world?
So yeah, I'm getting into the biohacking of my body. I've always been interested in this kind of stuff. So I've been on carnivore. I've done different diets and stuff like that. Don't do seed oils. Don't do any of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Like I've been that, but I'm starting to do all the 10x health stuff, blood work, gut test, gene test, all that stuff right now. So I'm about 30 days in. So we'll continue.
For people who don't know what 10x health is, because I low-key learned about this fucking yesterday. What the fuck is 10x health?
All right, so 10x health is basically a cool way and an entrepreneurial approach to standard health. Most doctors and wellness groups and companies, they will like to do a lot of prescriptions, and they don't go down to the root issue of like what's in your gut or what's actually going on with your hormones and stuff like that, because the backside of it is a prescription. So what they do, they go more of a wellness approach basis, and they typically just go against all the natural, all the propagated food diets that we have to eat from World Health Organizations and all that stuff. They challenge that stuff for you and your body to help you find your right path. So it's not necessarily that stuff is bad, but it's more of a tailored approach. So they have concierge stuff. They do like blood work, gene tests, and then they supplement for the deficiencies rather than just like saying, hey, take this multivitamin, go buy this brand or whatever. And he's a nerd. I love Gary Brecka, man. He goes deep on the subject of what other toxins are in your body from taking this supplement and this one and this one. So the biohacking thing is awesome. And 10x Health is like the actual medical approach to looking at your own blood tests and blood work.
So pretty much like rather than taking like a medicine to like help you like cure it, just like add more stuff to your body that like won't make that happen.
Like preventative measures almost. Yeah.
Preventative measures, but it's also like an awareness of your body too, because a lot of times people take a multivitamin. It has all these vitamins that are in it.
Okay.
But dude, you can't digest a third of them without this supplementation.
Oh, wow.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. So like if your gut can't process it or it moves slower through your system, like you're not going to get the effects, even though that you're taking it, that might not actually supplement your mood or whatever.
Wasn't there like stuff where like even multivitamins or just like any of these supplements just makes your piss like expensive? It just makes expensive piss in a sense. Like it goes through your fucking system. You're just peeing this shit out. It's like why do they even pay for
your body? Like doesn't absorb a lot.
Everything goes through your gut, right? So if you don't figure out what this is all about, your nutrients can't get absorbed. You don't know what is actually going on in that area. Then you are essentially having expensive piss because you may not be able to actually absorb the nutrients that you're eating. So like carnivore diet, for example, may not work well for people because it doesn't digest right and they're deficient. I'm not going to go compete toe to toe with Gary Brecka here on any of the science stuff. But for me, one of the things in my gut had to get menthol folate or something like that, some sort of gut supplement to be able to absorb the nutrients that I was taking in order to actually see the elevation in mood that I was looking for from other supplements or whatever it was. So just minor tweaks like that solve your problem rather than just taking the masses kind of
And then what's like your end goal with all this though? Like all this like biohacking kind of 10x stuff.
Well, dude, I just want to be in the best fitness shape, want to be in the best mental state, want to be in the best, just whatever. Like I want to be the best all around, best version of me. I want to be the best for my community. I want to be the best for, you know, just my future family, my current family. I want to be the best version that I can be because I'm chasing potential, not a social standard.
Makes sense. No, I'm just curious because like I feel like in Miami, a lot of people are like kind of in that world in a sense of like health, nutrition, like kind of trying new things. Like I know peptides is like a big thing right now. People are talking about.
Yeah.
So, and I've known none of this shit. So I'm just like, what the fuck?
I was ignorant to it for a very long time. I really was because I was like just money, agency, laptop, da-da-da-da. Like I was super white, dude. Like I didn't go outside. I wasn't looking at getting my vitamin D or supplementing for it or anything. So like it really changed when I turned 25. I started to just feel stuff in my body differently. And that was kind of like a wake up call for me. So health will hit at some point for someone at whatever age. And even if you see a passing, you know, family member or something, that's even a wake up call too.
Yeah.
I've had a few of those in the past couple of years. And so when you turn the health switch on, it becomes addicting. It becomes another game because when you're just good at business and no other skill sets, dude, girls don't like you.
Yeah.
You know, you can't connect with people and actually have good relationships and friendships. If you're just one dimensional, you're also a loser because like if that's the only thing that you can do and you can't connect anywhere else and you can't build the deeper relationships and you probably started that one thing to actually then get the other things too. Like I started to go deep into business and finance because I wanted all the money in the world so that way I can go buy all this stuff later. And in some cases it worked. In some cases I'm still working on it, you know?
Yeah.
So it's just a thing that people have to have that wake up call a lot of times for.
I'm going to ask you another more personal question here. Out of all your businesses, which one's probably making like the most money for you in a sense?
Definitely our e-commerce right now because everything that's going on with Amazon, the shifts that they're making, the end consumer, the reports just came out. We had like 4.9% GDP growth. Consumer spending last year was, we had the biggest Black Friday, Cyber Monday ever in Amazon history. We're going to have it again this year. So that is at the forefront of consumer spending. So our e-commerce businesses for sure are definitely the most revenue generating. Doesn't mean it's the most profit.
Yeah, sometimes e-commerce is not profitable.
Revenue. Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
That's another thing that people don't talk about. Like not every product is going to have the 30% margin you want, especially if you're running ads D2C, because I know you do a lot of e-commerce stuff too.
Yeah.
Like you're paying for ads. Then you have to switch the game that you're playing on LTV, subscription.
It's funny because people like, even for like the title to this video, I could put like $150 million in like revenue, but like the fuck does that even mean? You could spend $200 million on ads to make this 150 and now you're fucked. Like actually like, it's like not bull. Like, there's so many, it's kind of crazy because there's so many like big venture backed companies that like they're worth $1 billion or like they do 200 million in revenue, but like, all right, what'd you spend to do that? And you spent more than you fucking made. So it's just like, all right, well, this is bullshit. You know what I mean?
Well, one of the best examples of that was Casper. Everyone knows Casper.
Company. Yeah.
They were spending 90% of their profit that they would get back from ads back into ads. It got to a point where they were worth like 1.2 billion or whatever. Ads stopped performing. They got cut by a third on their valuation and had to go work with Target just to keep them afloat.
Seriously.
It happens all the time.
If you go, I think they're a publicly traded company too, Casper.
Yeah.
I think they're worth like 80 million or something like that.
Yeah, dude.
It's like you like think about it. If you put $1,000 in, your $1,000 is not worth fucking like
$1.
Like, no, it's worth like $80. Like at a billion, at a $1 billion valuation. Like think about it. You bought it at $1.2 billion. You put $1,000, now you have $80. Now imagine you deal with $1 million. Now you have 80 grand. Yeah. It's the same stupid fucking mattress, right? Because people always look at like the revenue top line. Oh, like growth, blah blah blah. But it's like at a point, you have all these. I see like all these investing books you have and stuff like that. At a point, like cash flow and profits is what investors want. You know what I mean? Because that's all that really fucking matters at the end of the day. Yeah, man. Like I even saw you had Warren Buffett's like annual reports, like Berkshire Hathaway's annual reports. Like those guys made fucking money on cash flows and on profits. They didn't make money on like future returns on like venture money and stuff like that, you know?
Yeah, man. Yeah. And when it comes to marketing, there's always a life arc or an energy arc associated with the promotion of a product or service. So that promotion is going to die out, whether it's 1 year, 2 years, or 3.5 years. That's why marketing iterations are so important and so key. And the business owner that invests into all the high production creatives or whatever, the reason why they try to milk that out so much is because once that run is over, you're trying to accomplish that goal within that short period of time because that's your moment.
Well, it's all like calculus. Like there's literally like a limit to everything. So it's like, and the limit's always like approaching infinity, but it'll never approach it'll never get to infinity. You know what I mean? It's like, it's kind of funny because like life is literally that. It's like a big game of fucking calculus, and everyone's like, oh, I can keep pumping this, and then one day you wake up and like the ad doesn't fucking work anymore. It's like it's literally all just math at a point. But if you have a sustainable business with like real customers, like real recurring revenue, real like profit generating machine, and can keep innovating, that's where you create real money. So like low-key, for half people watching half of these videos, they're all just like, how much revenue have you done? Like on Shopify, cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching. But it's like at the end of the day, it's like, dude, how much like long-term profit and equity and cash flow are you really generating? You know?
Dude, Shopify dropshipping is probably one of the biggest substitutes for the rat race, but it's still a rat race.
Yeah.
Like
it's like an online like scam to like young people to like help you get.
It's not a scam, dude. Like people make money with
no. But for most people, it's like a pipe dream.
But it's like a pipe dream for people. It's like they see massive. Like there's people have done massive numbers dropshipping, like millions and millions, 8 figures, 9 figures. But at the same exact time, it's like, is it a real hard like long-term business? No,
it's not.
It's not. You know what I mean?
The evolution should go drop shipping into brand and then into XYZ. But even we were talking about earlier, building a brand is hard. And so people stick to the short-term drop shipping money because they know that they can put in $1, get 3 or 4 back, and just kind of play that rat race game. But
until they can't, though,
for a few months.
Until like they were 18 until like maybe 21, 22, it worked out. And now you hit like 24 and you're just like, what the fuck? Like what am I doing? So then you try running a brand, it doesn't fucking work because like you're like, well, Facebook's not working.
Well, the thing I think that is really cool about dropshipping as the catalyst is because it gets you credit. If you can actually crack that system, you can actually get bigger credit lines and stuff and allows you to pivot later.
That's fair.
So I agree with you that it's a short-term business, it's a short-term mindset, and like that's what 90% of people are going into it for. But it's a good starter thing because it exposes you to credit, and then reading those, books with Warren Buffett or just different financial books, when you can actually, and this is for all the drop shippers out there, but if you can actually convert that $1 into 3 or 1 into 4, and you can consistently do that, that is a skill set that pays big dividends down the road. Because all a public company's cash flows and dividends are based on are how fast can they collect cash during that 90-day period before they send out a dividend. So if you can have a short cash conversion cycle or a short-term sale that you can consistently generate, every business is going to want you because you know how to crack that code. So it's like a skill set in development, and you get credit, and then you just got to figure out what you want to do next.
And credit's like a massive thing. Like, I don't know if you know, like, I'm sure you probably, I don't know if Kyle knows in a sense, but like Warren Buffett bought a whole bunch of insurance companies. And the reason for it was like they have big floats. So like everyone pays every month for insurance, and like you only get they only pay out every, say, 10 years, 20 years if something bad happens. So they have all this cash they just like fucking sit on. So he would use that to just buy businesses in a sense, right?
Yeah.
And to buy himself more cash flow and kind of keeping that flywheel moving in a sense. It's the same way as using $1 to make $4, right? It's like the same concept. With dropshipping, you really don't have that, but you do have the ability to learn that skill of...
It's like a stepping stone.
It's a stepping stone.
Exactly.
But like honestly, even like Casper is another example. Like it's like pretty much one level up. It's like literally a fucking derivative. So like it's kind of funny. I'm thinking I hate math. And like I'm thinking about it like
this guy's all on calculus. He's more math than I am.
It's kind of funny because it's like dropshipping is like, okay, like quick arbitrage. Technically D2C is like the same concept if you don't go into like omnichannel eventually. Casper fell into the same problem. They're like, well, we can just run ads on Facebook, be super reliant on Facebook, and we're never going to like disappear. And then, well, you didn't go to Amazon, you didn't go to Target, you didn't go to Walmart, you didn't open up your own stores. And that's where like all these DC brands now are like failing. Like it's a big time period where like brands that raised money in like 2019, 2020, now we're in 2023, 3 years later, raised 2 million, 3 million, they don't exist anymore. Because first they didn't figure out the online piece. They didn't have those skills of like, say, drop shipping or media buying. And then they didn't have the skills to go into like Amazon, retail, etc. So now it's just like dust, just inventory. You know what I mean?
Well, as well, like a rising tide raises all ships.
Exactly.
Right? So if everyone's doing the same drop shipping thing, then the game has to evolve.
Exactly.
So it's a natural evolutionary cycle, and the game becomes distribution. If you can get distribution for the cheapest cost or whatever it is,
you win.
Then you win, because Facebook, that's why I love Meta as like a company, because they developed the network infrastructure and the rails for distribution that people are paying for. Same thing with all social medias. That's why those tech companies blow up. But it's the same thing with Target, with wholesale distributors, all that kind of stuff, because they have the distribution channel. They have
the customer base, exactly.
They have the ability to flip it on, flip it off. Amazon has it. All these companies capitalize on distribution.
And then they pretty much charge you for it in a sense. That's like, that's life. And then we're the idiots that like make the peanuts in between in a sense. It's like, think about it. Like, if you think of the logic of Facebook, you spend like 80 grand on Facebook, right? Like say for a month, you spend 80 grand or 100 grand, whatever. Who gets the 100 grand? Literally Facebook, full 100 grand with like, there's no cost. Like, yeah, they have employees.
Hey, New Money Talks fam. If your company serves D2C e-commerce brands, then you need to be using Charm.io. Charm is a premier e-commerce intelligent platform that tracks and indexes millions of e-commerce brands so that you can build the perfect pipeline of qualified clients. Charm's Prospector allows you to filter e-commerce brands with over 100 different metrics like store platform, growth, tech stack, and more. For example, SaaS companies find brands on Charm that are using complementary tech, while agencies might use Charm to find brands that have low ad counts or stale ad creatives. Not only can you save your prospecting filter so that new brands that meet your criteria get revealed to you, you can also effortlessly connect Charm to your existing CRM. If you navigate to any brand report, you can get a deep dive into that company's performance. Their growth score measures how fast a brand is growing. Their success score measures their overall lifetime success as a brand. And their sophistication score will share things like how advanced their tech stack is and integrations. You can also navigate to the similar section to see brands that might also be a good fit for your company. These in-depth metrics help sales teams prioritize outreach to key targets and reach out to prospects with personalized messaging that fits their needs. Want to see what this could look like for your company? After only 6 days of using Charm, the advertising agency Hey Social achieved the following. They sent 2,958 emails, 5 times higher than their average within that same set time frame. They had an email open rate of 75%. They added 34 prospects with an average value of $88,000, and they booked 14 discovery calls with a close rate of 14%. So go ahead and request a free trial of Charm today using the link in our description and get up to 100 free brand reports. Now let's get back to the podcast.
Sure. Offices, they have like AWS they're paying, but like there's literally like they're selling air to the max. Then we have the cost of like the product, the software we're using, all this stuff. It's like there's just like clear, just like poof. It's kind of nuts.
Yeah. Like you can win, but like they're always going to be the real winners.
They're always going to eat because like you said, they built the foundation that like nobody fucking has.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is like kind of interesting why like it's like all of us why we're trying to build personal brands and online presences because like we're pretty much making the second level of that. Like we can't create Facebook, so we're going to create like a smaller version of it on Facebook.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. Like all the different ways that a social media network can monetize, ad spend, even brand endorsements on organic distribution. Like there's so many revenue streams that they capitalize on. Same thing for e-commerce with Amazon. They have, their warehousing, they have the actual commercial, the sale on the website. They have all these different things, insulated revenue. And so that's what we were talking about earlier with portfolio companies. That's the approach that they take. How do I capture as much revenue and create that ecosystem to just suck it all out?
For sure.
Like just to pull all that money out and extract the revenue.
And you said the next project you're working on that's launching soon is a hedge fund?
Yeah. So we have the modern, I have 2 projects right now. The Modern Way is a community of entrepreneurs, accountability groups, personal development, books. We go over that kind of stuff, help make you the best version of you in the modern day. So Modern Day Man, Modern Way Fitness, Modern Way Operations, Modern Way Business, all that stuff. The hedge fund is launching in 2024, and it's mostly a Bitcoin and cryptocurrency fund. We have some trading algorithms that we use that are proprietary, and it's mostly used for people that want to have cryptocurrency in their portfolio. They're not just wanting to go buy Bitcoin spot ETF or just Bitcoin directly. They want to have it diversified and actually have it actively managed. In the crypto space, that's probably one of the most important things too, is to just know where your crypto is being held. You don't want it taken out of exchanges. You don't want it to be in any of these weird places, which a lot of companies were doing back in the day with BlockFi and Celsius and all this stuff. So that's what we're doing. It's called True Capital.
Interesting. How'd you get into the whole like algorithms and everything? Like, how'd you figure all that type of stuff out?
Yeah, so I'm not the developer. Someone built that. That's way smarter than me. Let's just be clear. So I've been in crypto for about 7-8 years, something like that. And the game obviously changes and it evolves over time. So trading algorithms in general are rampant right now through financial markets. So it's a tool for you to use because you can't compete with the high frequency algos that are out there, the ones that are close to the exchange, have droplets near the exchanges or whatever, if you think that you're going to day trade or actively manage something. And the fact that crypto moves 24/7, I'm not going to be up 24/7. I'm biohacking. I need my sleep, right?
Yeah.
So the algorithm is the tool that is like a paranoid babysitter to actually watch your Bitcoin, pull it out, and go back in. And that particular one that we actually have, that's all it does. Goes from Bitcoin to USDT, Bitcoin to USDT. So when Bitcoin's going up, it'll stay in that. When it's going down or it thinks it's going to go down, it'll pull out. That's all that does. So it's more of like an active passive management deal to help preserve your buying power so you can buy more Bitcoin after Bitcoin goes down. That's the whole thesis there. And the reason I got involved in it is because one, you need algos to compete in today's trading market if you're ever going to do that. Number two, so much happens on these crypto exchanges that people aren't aware of, that's what has created this doubt in crypto markets that are offshore, not registered, all this stuff, which is why it's good that more regulation is coming in. And whenever there is a huge mass order block coming in or the exchange is selling off, algos read that. And that's where they make their moves, because crypto is only based on liquidity moving into the market, people buying more or people selling more. It's not based off of news of cash flow forecasts or any of that kind of stuff like it is in the stock market. So that news may come out at night. That news may come out on China first. That, you may be asleep.
No idea.
So having an algorithm help you with that is what allows you to take advantage of those trades. And then lastly, I have some connects at some of the big institutions that are working on some of these ETFs and stuff like that. And so I just know that is an opportunity of volume that's coming in, because this ETF will get approved. It will open up a lot of retirement accounts, investment accounts, and the big sovereign wealth funds that have been trying to get into the space for a long time but didn't want to custody it. They want to start buying Bitcoin and start using that as a hedge. So when all that aligns, we had the algorithm from one of the developers that we've been working with for a long time, made a ton of money with it. And so that's actually why we're using it in the fund and why we have people actually license it from us too.
That's awesome. Damn, you got a lot of fucking projects. But I feel like you said, it's all ecosystem based.
Dude, it's digital. The modern way really stands for, man, becoming a modern man, and you have to have the modern tools to be able to do that.
For sure.
So biohacking is one, because that's your health. The second is the way to operate the businesses, using systems, using all the technology that we have to create an automated stream of either activity with your employees or income from the business. The next is also having digital cash flow to build digital wealth, because digital is our opportunity, like real estate was for people that were getting houses at like 3,000, 4,000, 10,000 back in the day, because that's when the US was the most dominant, had the most momentum after the war, and everything that was actually issued was new debt that they can borrow and actually buy these houses super cheap. So there's a whole study on it. It's actually very, very interesting. If you read The Psychology of Money, it talks about that compounding of people that were early in on the US debt cycle are the ones that made the most money. So it's the same thing in the crypto markets. The people that are early on can ride those waves. And so that's why I believe in just becoming the modern man, the best version of yourself, leverage modern day operations, build digital cash flow, and then go create digital wealth.
Definitely. No, this has been awesome. I think the biggest thing now is where can people find you too? Because I know you're on a lot of different platforms and everything as well.
Yeah, so it's at the Robert J. Miller on Instagram. They're all derivative stuff from there. So on Twitter, I think it's like the Robert J. Miller _ and whatever.
We'll have them all linked in the description.
But it's all in the description. It's all in my bio. And if you guys have any questions, shoot me a DM and I'll talk to you guys soon.
No, for sure. Yeah. This guy has a wealth of fucking knowledge.
Actually,
I feel like you've gone through a lot of seasons in your entrepreneurial journey. So I think from a coaching perspective, or just a high level perspective, you're probably someone really good to talk to, because you have you've dipped your toes in a whole bunch of stuff, not just say one thing. And I think the full man should have all of it in a sense. So appreciate you coming on, man.
Yeah, I got one last question for you.
Sure thing.
So I think a lot of people look at those kind of three pillars: health, wealth, and relationships. Some people say health, wealth, happiness, but I feel like happiness is an accumulation of all those three. But a lot of people look at it as a linear game. They say, all right, which is the one that I want to prioritize now? And then what's that next one that I want to get? And then what's the one after that? I kind of know the answer, I think, in terms of what you're going to say, but do you look at that as a linear game? And if you do, is there something that you'd accumulate first before prioritizing the other thing? Or do you just think that, because it's tough to do all of them simultaneously. I feel like for a lot of people, it actually does make sense to look at it linearly, get something out of the way until that's, automated, built out, discipline in your routine. then move into the health, relationships, whatever? How do you look at that stuff?
Well, there's two paths that I took, and they were the one that I first started out with was health and fitness. So that I was waking up at like 4 a.m. every single day, going to the gym, building the disciplines, and reading. Those were like the first tangible things that I was doing outside of college. But I didn't get like this massive bodybuilding physique or anything. I didn't understand the science behind really what I was doing. I was just eating chicken, brown rice, and just trying to bulk up, you know? So that was the first thing that gave me more disciplines, but I was always business oriented. So then once that shifted into then doing business, dude, I threw out all relationships. Like that was the very, very last thing that I thought of, because the people that I had relationships with then knew me for the person that I was and what I was doing with fitness or, you know, whatever I was doing, not the person that I wanted to become or evolve into. And so then the game became, how can I get into the rooms of people that I want to be like? And so I invested into a lot of mentors. I was doing like part-time jobs and stuff like that to get into the rooms, to just save up money to, you know, go down and network with these people. And so the first way out for me was finance, dude. Like figure out the business, figure out how to make money, because you can always buy your health back later. As weird as that sounds, especially if you're early on, dude, you can work 20-hour days, 18-hour days, and it doesn't have that much of a detriment when you're 18 through 23, 24. I started to feel it around 25, but by then I had a lot more, you know, teams and systems in place. Yeah. But I would just go all out for those 3 to 4 or 5 years on business, income, skills, finances, defer the cars, defer all the bullshit kind of, you know, expense stuff, build some wealth and build some cash flow that doesn't need you to actively run that rat race. Because then as you grow into your manhood, you can actually get thicker just in general by growing and eating the right foods, which you need money for. Then you can invest into your health. And then that actually makes you happier to then have great relationships. Because if you're not happy with yourself, if you're not happy with your bank account, if you're not happy with stuff, it's going to be hard for me to actually be happy and be a good energy around you. Yeah. Because then I'm in self-pity or I'm in a depressed mood or whatever. You don't want to be around that. Girls don't want to be around that. So fix your shit, fix yourself, fix your bank account, fix your mindset, get that stuff going, and then circle back on the things that are important to you.
So pretty much money, and then health, and then relationships. Yeah. In that order.
I think the easiest one too for people, because sometimes the money game takes a little bit to crack, is the fitness though too. Yeah, the health. So like you can start with the disciplines of fitness, reading books and all that, because that's like the base level foundation. You can't expect to have tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars per month net profit to you if you don't read and have disciplines. So I think that's kind of the earliest step that people can take.
It's the easiest one too.
Yeah, if they're
like
literally
it's easy to wake up at, or for some people, for most people, it's easier to go to bed early, wake up, you know, and for a week, 2-3 weeks straight, like go to the gym, get some quick wins, eat healthy, like maybe a little bit less expensive. It's a lot harder to achieve financial freedom. That's what takes time.
Yeah, dude. And that same discipline is going to help you grind better too. Like, so start off with the quick wins and the easy wins, like you said. That's what gives you the motivation to even pursue business, because business can be tough, especially if it's a new skill set. If you're not digitally apt or whatever, you have to change the way that you think about things. And so I think fitness is the first step, then go directly into business, grind that shit out, do fitness again, and then you can build relationships. And it's a lot more fun to party, travel, etc. when you have money than sipping Four Locos and getting drunk and like, you know, doing stuff that people in college do. So that's what I would recommend, man. Start with health, go with the business, and then go back to health and then relationships.
Yeah, a lot of people try doing this all three at the same time to the extreme, but it's kind of like starting 3 businesses in a sense, right? It's like none of them are going to get that much time and attention unless you maybe find a way to create an ecosystem around it where they're all like play into each other.
Yeah, I think people in the beginning too, they go too much into fitness too quick. Like at 22, you don't need to be this crazy bodybuilder, man. Like unless that's your goal and you want to be Mr. Olympia or whatever. But like just be healthy enough and fit enough so that like you just feel good. Like I was still doing hard workouts and stuff, but I wasn't doing any of the, the juice or any of that kind of stuff. Like don't do any of that stuff, man. You're gonna hurt your health later. You're gonna hurt all that development later, because then you're already building a dependency on something external if you do that stuff. You have it all within you. You just got to get into the right rooms with the right people.
This is powerful.
That's a good way to end it.
That's a good way to fucking end it. On our end, though, make sure you go find them on IG. I feel like IG is where you have all the good content. I see a lot of good posts on there. Yeah. It's in this room, so you fucking made a nice one. Get going. Thanks, man. No, we appreciate you. Appreciate the setup. You were the first guy on this whole ship that... Actually, no, second guy. Fedotov had the whole setup, too.
He didn't have it, though. He
paid for it.
We paid for it.
You had it in your apartment, so we appreciate it. It makes it a lot easier on our end. You fucking set this up like 70 times.
Yeah.
So make sure you go find him on IG, hit him up, wealth of knowledge. On our end, make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Whoever the sponsors are on this one, I don't know who the fuck the sponsors are.
Shout out to you.
Shout out to you.
Shout out.
It's always hard to keep track. It probably comes out in like December.
Yeah.
And right now it's
Cool.
October, so yeah.
A little ways away.
Anyways, hopefully if you're in Jersey, you're not freezing your ass off right now. But
Or come down to Miami. It's way
come
better.
down to Miami. That makes sense. But anyways, catch you guys on the next one.
See you in the next one.
Peace.